Joining me now is the former United States Senator Doug Jones of Alabama. He was the first Democrat to win a U.S. Senate seat in his state in 25 years. He's a former U.S. attorney for Alabama, a senior distinguished fellow at the Center for American Progress, and the author of the book, Bending Toward Justice, the Birmingham church bombing that changed the course of civil rights. Senator Jones, good to see you. Thank you for being with us this morning.
Thank you, Ali. Great to be with you again.
I want to talk to you about the politics in some of these states, including Alabama. Like Tennessee, Alabama state legislature is dominated by Republicans. They've got a supermajority. They've got total control of the state government. Talk to me about that dynamic. If you're Justin Jones and Justin Pearson, you're young, you're younger generation, you're built on protest. You are everybody who knew them knew that they were coming in to be disruptive forces in politics. Now they got kicked out of the legislature for it.
Yeah, you know, Ali, I don't think they came in to be a disruptive force. I think they came in to be a voice for people that didn't have a voice or had a very shallow voice over the years. I think that's one reason that helped me get elected in 2017. People were looking for a voice that they haven't had in a long time. You know, the challenge that we have in the South is that for so long, I think Democrats just abandoned us down here, and we were left to fend for ourselves, and we were trying to defend things, culture wars that were not always easy to defend. And we lost sight of the fact that the people of the South are basically good folks that really want the best for their families. That we lost sight of the fact that Democrats provided health care, Democrats provided Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid. We lost sight of some of that, and we decided to just engage in all of the culture wars, and we lost out on that. And so in 2010, most of the legislatures in the South became these supermajorities, and now there is very little voice. And you've got to have a voice of reason. You've got to have someone who will listen, because Democrats still get roughly 40% of the vote throughout the South. But yet our representation is way below that, mostly below a third, 30% or thereabouts.
So let's talk about this. On Thursday, ahead of the expulsion of the Tennessee Three, you posted a video on Twitter. You spoke about what you called, quote, unchecked majorities. Let's talk about these instances of overreach by Republicans in your state, similar to what happened in Tennessee this week, and similar to the example that you cited about Mississippi.
Yeah, you know, look, all you have to do is go back and look at the horrific immigration law that Alabama passed years ago, several years ago. Look at the assault on women's reproductive rights. Look at what they're doing to the transgender community in Alabama and elsewhere. Those are folks that will go behind closed doors, discuss what they want to do, come out and vote on it and do it and stifle any dissent. And there's just really nothing that you can do. There's nothing that folks can do except stand up, speak out. As Gloria Johnson said in Tennessee, cause a little good trouble, occasionally break a decorum rule, as you noted, and try to get that message across to people so that we can start to rebuild down here. And I think we've got opportunities now. You know, look what's happening in Mississippi with the corruption that's going over there, the TANF funds, the water crisis, Medicaid crisis, and now in Tennessee. So, you know, Republicans are handing Democrats an opportunity to go back to people and talk to them, and more importantly, Ali, listen to them about what they really want in their state and in America.
The good thing about protest is there's a real spectrum, right? You can get arrested if you choose, you can break decorum in the House, and you can do other things. And you mentioned this. You said, you tweeted this week, what's happening in Tennessee today is truly frightening. Where are Tennessee's business leaders? Where are the GOP leaders and voters who believe in the right to dissent in our democracy? Where are the veterans groups who put their lives on the line to protect democratic ideals? You have the power to stop this madness. Step up before it's too late. Talk to me about that, because these were actually protests about gun violence. That's what started right after a mass shooting in which 3 little children died in Tennessee. This wasn't some weird, out of character, outside of the mainstream issue. This is about as important an issue as there is in Tennessee and probably across America right now.
Well, that's absolutely right. And it's similar to other protests that we have seen across the country after these mass shootings, whether they're in Florida after Parkland. You know, and remember, Ali, I gave my maiden speech about gun violence on the floor of the United States Senate begging people to let's do something. Let's go. You can protect the Second Amendment. You can protect the rights of law-abiding gun owners. But yet try to stem the tide of this violence that we see here. And that's what these kids, that's what their parents were doing. You know, I saw a video of a Covenant school mom embracing one of the legislators who was ousted. And it was an amazing moment in the Nashville state capitol when that happened. And people, you know, our country was built on this, built on dissent, and they just completely stifle that. And these folks weren't breaking in windows, by the way, Allie. You know, they weren't breaking through windows. They weren't going through the Capitol screaming, you know, where's the Speaker of the House? Let's hang him. They weren't beating people with American flags. They were simply saying, we want something done. Do your damn jobs.
Yeah, they were not. There was no attempted insurrection or overthrow of the Tennessee government. They just wanted attention on this important topic. Doug, good to see you as always. Thanks for joining us. Former Democratic Senator Doug Jones of Alabama.